Hey, it's George Hardy from Troll 2 and Best Worst Movie and Texas Cotton, and we're here from the Cinema Psycho Show, one of the world's best podcasts. So come on out and listen, and just remember, you can't piss on Cinema Psycho's show. Oh, God.
Nailed it. That's it right there.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Ryan, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Woolscroft.
Baden Baden.
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 And we just lost everybody.
Everybody's like,
wait, is there something wrong with my headphones? What is going on?
What is going on?
That was weird, guys.
That was weird. So we are on episode 151.
How about that?
Man.
How about that live stream, guys? That went perfectly and amazing. And we had all those famous special guests.
It was so
pop in.
fun.
Yeah.
We didn't put them on camera or anything, but they were there.
We're not
Yeah,
recording
of course
this
they
before
were.
the live stream, and it possibly could be that this
What?
our live stream
Oh.
goes all hell's loose.
I was going to say we should do a shot of 151 for our 151.
Ooh, well, I'm gonna
That's
have a case of
dangerous
beer
right there.
for it, so,
Excellent.
That's dangerous right there.
Yeah. It's 9:40 in the morning. Everyone but John is like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm down. Yeah. It's
John's
fine.
always down.
He is always
It's
down.
5 o'clock somewhere.
And you
It's
know what?
5 a.m.
You know
somewhere.
what we're always down for? Indie films.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
Sure.
The transition. Guys, it was a Brian transition, and it was glorious.
Brought it back.
I loved
so
it.
happy.
I loved
Brought it back. So yeah, indie films, and just kind of continuing because we did the last porno show, and before we did that, we did Luke and Joe. Mm-hmm. So this is actually one that John, you have a little bit of inside information on.
Your Honor, I would like to disclose some information.
What is your disclosure?
This film is being in part distributed by Narrative Films, which is a company that I work for, and I, on the back end of things, worked
He's
on
a
this
biased
film.
son of a bitch. That's what he is.
So, please, take that into your discretion while listening to this
His
episode.
bosses will call him up after this episode and be like, "What the fuck did you say? Did you not stick to the talking points?"
Just kidding,
Just
guys.
kidding. No, they're actually pretty cool.
They're
So-
really
they're super
cool.
And we're glad that
Everything's-
they give us a
Yeah.
screen. I mean, you gave us the screen.
and
to
everything's
watch.
fine.
But we're actually going to be watching a movie that is interesting. It's called Under Control.
Yeah, this is
With
really
LL.
cool.
LL.
Yeah, so it's under con and then troll because
Capital T.
trolls.
Yes. Trolls.
I don't wait. Oh my God! I just got it. No.
Yes. Get it?
Yeah.
So I'd seen this movie being because I thought before you started working for them.
Yeah.
We all knew those people because our friend Travis works for Narrative Film as well as Tyler. Does he work for them as well?
Well, I would say they are narrative.
They are
they
Narrative
are.
Film. So they're people that we know personally.
Right, and you guys would remember Tyler Russell. He
Yes.
directed Texas Cotton.
Yes.
We
Which is
reviewed
still
that.
available, so
yeah,
check
and
that
we
out.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
we reviewed that a while back, and I remember how much we all liked it, especially George Hardy.
Oh, our buddy. But the point is like while we were doing the whole stuff with Texas Cotton and getting that episode out, I noticed on their Instagram that they were in the process of recording audio for Under Control. And I saw it and I'm like, is this an animated film?
I thought that myself.
And that's what I thought. I'm like, is this an animated film? Because why are they all recording audio? Like, it just seems kind of weird. I'm like, this looks really interesting. So I saw the graphics for it. And then it wasn't until I saw the trailer that had come out that I realized it's a German film. And that they were dubbing the German with American actors.
Like when you see old kung fu movies.
Yeah.
But a lot better. I mean, occasionally there are times where it doesn't completely line up, but that's a lost in translation kind of thing.
And I'll tell you,
but there are times where it's pretty flawless.
Every once in a while, I really couldn't tell with some of the actors that it was being dubbed at all, and only because I was watching for it. If I hadn't really been paying attention to that per se, I don't think I would have really noticed for the most part.
Well, I think part of it, if you want to get into linguistics, is just because English is somewhat based from German.
Right. Well,
Like
they're both based from.
They're
Latin.
both based from Latin, so certain words are going to
Look
appear
the same.
and look similar. So that's why, like, I watched it. I'm like, oh yeah, it does line up a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it looked really good.
It didn't take me out of the movie. That's the one thing.
That sort of thing doesn't really.
It actually kind of reminded me a little bit of. You remember back in the early 2000s, Kung Pao Enter the Fist?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It kind of had that kind of vibe to it with the voiceover, but it wasn't a negative. I would never say it was a negative.
Me neither. I thought it worked.
And because originally when I saw that, I asked him, like, why didn't they just put subtitles under it? And the point is, most people don't like subtitles.
Yeah, I say that ain't marketable.
But that's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Most people will turn off a movie if it's not in English.
Film twat here. I like subtitles.
You are one of the rare people.
But I read fast, and I think that's why I like them. I imagine if you are not a fast reader, subtitles are like reading a book at someone else's pace. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
So, I get it. I only like them because I'm a fast reader.
My mom is a highly educated woman, but when my dad would come home from the video rental store, with a foreign film, she would get all pissed off because she didn't want to read. She didn't want to have to.
But it's true.
Read the bottom of the screen.
And your mom's one of the top 5 smartest people I know, I think.
No, don't. Well, she didn't listen to the show, but
she won't give her that much credit. We won't give it to her. But well, too. And then ironically, your mom is very hard of hearing, and she has to watch subtitles for now.
Yeah.
Irony.
Now you're watching some. But I guess for me, like, I'll be the first to say, like, if I'm on Netflix and I see a movie's foreign, even like, I honestly, like, if I'm not really in the mood to read, I'm not going to watch them with subtitles. So,
well, with Roma, when we saw, I remember with Roma, it took me a couple minutes to kind of get used to it. It just takes a few minutes.
Yeah, but with that, it is I'll give it to narrative film. It is a daunting task.
Yeah, absolutely.
To go in and redub, because not only are you redubbing the dialogue, you're redubbing all of the environmental noise, all of the sound effects, everything, because it has to exist within the dubbed language. So it's a lot.
I did that once for a short.
We did it in grad school.
Yeah,
remember one of our assignments in our sound class?
Yeah,
thankfully,
that was only like 2 minutes.
That was 2 minutes. Yeah.
This was via a 45-minute film. No, 30 maybe. But
38.
Yeah.
Let's say 38.
Well, why not? But yeah, we recorded without any audio on site.
On purpose?
No, we just didn't have it. And then we brought everybody in, had them ADR their lines in a sound booth, and then I had to recreate all of the soundscape from the ground up.
Oh, but you loved every second of
I
that.
did kind of love it, yeah.
He's an audio man.
I hate that. that stuff.
John loves it. John loves audio. He really does.
Yeah.
And there were a couple shots in this film where I think they went back and they did what I had to do with that film. Is sometimes it just didn't work, and so you just have a cover shot of somebody because like it just doesn't matter. And I think there were. I don't know this for certain, but it looked like there were some cuts that I think maybe they made because they had maybe some of the raw files to cover up when the lips didn't completely.
I noticed that too, where like someone would still be talking and I went to the other shot. But that's also good editing. I mean, you have to keep a scene moving.
That's
like
sound
I also
bridge.
think,
it's a sound bridge.
Exactly,
nothing wrong with
exactly.
So we're not going to spoil this movie.
No.
Okay. John, do you know when this movie actually comes out? Like when they can watch it?
The premiere is coming up here soon at the Alamo Draft House in Texas.
The Alamo Draft House.
Yeah, we were working with distribution, and it's probably looking like around February.
Okay.
Cool. It got pushed back because we got a Sweetheart distribution deal. So.
Oh really?
I like this like inside scoop.
This is nice. Normally everyone's like, I can't tell you that, but you are the guy who says don't tell them that.
Yeah.
Do you want to say what you're actually doing with narrative films? Because you didn't really mention that.
And this is this is awesome. You're doing a lot of cool shit right now, dude.
Basically a little bit of everything. when I'm not on a set, it's doing a lot of backhand promotion, or not backhand. Yeah, smack. Back end promotion. And, then on sets, I'll be doing behind the scenes production assistant work, gaffing, lighting, best boy, best girl, because it's the 90s.
It's the 90s now.
Doing a lot of interviews and even some level of sales to get new.
So you've been doing
video
all the
clients.
Facebook
You're gonna be
shit.
dope at that.
Yeah,
That's been you.
Yeah. Yep. But if you've been seeing
I
other
can tell.
control
I was
posts,
like, that's John.
yeah.
That's John. So we're not going to spoil this movie, but we're going to kind of talk a little bit about some of the aspects of it. Just because I think it's worth exploring with indie films, especially this caliber, because this one, it is at that point where I think a lot of filmmakers want to be at, where you are in the end of a distribution deal, and it is going to see an audience. So do you want to talk a little bit about the things that we really liked in this film?
Yeah, well, I'm just to give a little bit of context here,
Sure.
and I'm sure if you clicked on this episode, you saw the link and went, "Oh, okay,
Okay.
I see what this is." It's an out there kind of movie, and I mean that in the best way possible. It's kind of an homage to Troll 2.
Yeah.
I mean, George Hardy's in it, but also films of that ilk from the 80s of that period.
It's a lot of the B movie, like I almost want to say like creature fantasy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like Critters. I got like the Critters vibe from it. I definitely got Troll 2
I was
from
thinking
it.
Critters, actually. Yeah.
Were you thinking Critters too?
Yeah.
I that's what I'm saying is it has a lot of those the B movies that you may have grown up with in that late 80s, early 90s state. That always had elements of fantasy thrown into them.
And I mean, this movie's out there. They have a very good time, and you get a sense right from the opening credits. Like when George Hardy's name comes up, there's villagers running by, and they have what do you call ancillary dialogue just to fill in because they're yelling and screaming because they're chasing somebody, and you hear somebody go, "Oh, George Hardy's in this."
I thought I lost my mind. I watched it late at night, and I was like, "What?
They're acknowledging the opening credits.
I literally rewound it, and that was so cool, because I feel like in this kind of hemisphere, you have a really niche audience. You have an audience that's used to maybe a little bit of tongue-in-cheek humor, because you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of riff tracks.
Yes.
When they come up and usually they're like, oh, so-and-so's in this, and it's like some obscure person that no one's heard of, and that's the joke. But I thought it was so funny that they did that with George Hardy.
Well, yeah, it had there was a couple times it had a little bit of Mel Brooks kind of.
Right, yeah.
Where they're kind of self-aware of the film.
Well, I think the big thing is just that this movie doesn't try to take itself seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that is the charm of it, is that, they very easily could have said, okay, we're going to make this real dark. And like when I first saw the trailer for it, I initially thought, oh, this is like, it exists in the same universe as Troll 2.
Right.
Right? Like this is a continuation of it. Because you've got, George's character. He's literally playing the same character that he played in Troll 2, Michael Waits. So like, I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be a sequel. And I'm watching, I'm like, this isn't. This is paying homage to those films.
Yeah.
And it's not taking itself seriously. It's
like a non-canon sequel.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like one of those comic books that's like alternate universe.
Yeah.
It's like a shared universe, I think.
But I kind of, I
universe.
like the fact that it didn't take itself seriously. I like the fact that it literally looks like everyone on this film is having fun.
Oh, yeah. It seemed like it was having
Because I think a lot of times you watch these types of movies and they almost try to be dark for the sake of being dark.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
just to be like the gritty reboot. John and I joke about that all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, I was trying to look up a couple of things because I was struck by a couple of things in the film. What I liked about, but this is the director, and I apologize, I'm gonna utterly butcher his name. But the director of this...
He's a very close friend of mine, so don't get it wrong.
Oh, okay.
By that,
John.
I've not even spoken.
I was
going to
say, you told us before we started recording, you haven't even talked to him yet.
So Eric Dean Hordes?
I think it's Hordes.
Hordes? Okay. So he's the director of this. He spoke to the director of our beloved Troll 2.
Really?
To see if he could use the character. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He wanted to see if he could... Of Michael Waits. Like, he wanted to make sure he could use the character. And I thought that was interesting. I mean, you would have to in this day and age, with copyrights and stuff, I imagine.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool that they talked, and didn't just like maybe do it through lawyers or something,
Or make him Michael Watts.
Right? Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
Although you can still take that to court.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention is this film is such a treat visually.
Oh,
I thought it was really interesting because I don't know if this is Eric Hordes' own company, but I was trying to find the second word. It's Phantom Something Productions. That's his Phantom something. But I even just the graphics for the production company I thought were really good.
Yeah,
and they were one of the first things I saw, and I was really impressed. I think that a lot of the visuals, I was just really taken with how well some things worked.
Right.
And I think that that's helpful with acting. Like, there are certain parts where you need the actor to really sell it in order to buy it. But I liked a lot of the elements. Like, this did seem kind of like a fairy tale gone wrong, right? Like,
yes.
with the beginning, they have like some really interesting visuals that that cap up the story for you and kind of give you the premise. And I just thought visually they were just so beautiful.
Well, they kind of, it almost looks like they went for a combination of that B-movie type look, and then also kind of like a pop comic book type look.
I could see that.
Like a lot of saturated colors, a lot of harsh shadows. They really went for that. We're going to make this thing literally jump off the screen.
Yeah, I thought it was well shot.
It was very well shot, and I love the transitions between scenes. A lot of times they were like panning up or tilting up, and
this is probably. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. I'm just saying,
sorry.
it's nice when you watch a movie and the director gets the importance of scene transitions and literally like how to move between scenes.
Oh,
because like as an audience member, you're watching it and you're just thinking to yourself like, you literally just jumped from one scene to the other without any sort of bridge. And I noticed that with this one, they always were, panning up or tilting up to the next scene, panning across to the next scene, and it flowed well.
Yeah, absolutely. And
this movie is very European.
I told you in text. I was like, this is a very German film.
Well, even in like the
that's
scene
just
transitions,
our worthless Yankee American hearts.
In the scene transitions, like look at this beautiful like European landscape.
Oh, I was
German.
just gonna say like this. Like I was like, ooh, a castle, and I was like, those really aren't that uncommon in Europe.
The daughter has like a pretzel for breakfast.
Dude, I want a pretzel for breakfast. She made me hungry for a pretzel.
But what I found funny was like, oh, what's that? A horse is just right there. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not so uncommon in Pennsylvania.
No, but
I was so weird. Yeah,
next
Dutch
to an
colony.
urban area.
How many people were riding bikes? And I was like, in my American, I'm like, why does everybody have a bicycle? Oh wait, Europe.
Yeah, Europe.
Europe, they do transportation better.
But yeah, the most important thing with this film is the troll effects work.
Yeah.
That could have sunk the movie.
Well,
immediately.
that's like a Yoda moment. If it doesn't work, you are effed.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to kind of identify, and it looks like what they did with this movie was they relied on, practical when they had to. So, having the troll's mouth move up and down, it looks like they added some CGI to kind of manipulate that, but it didn't overpower. Because there's ways you could do that and it could kind of overpower it and make it look goofy. But, getting into that, I mean, the visual effects in this film, holy shit. Like, when you're trying to tackle horror / fantasy, and this is a movie I would consider horror / fantasy, there is a danger that your effects are not going to live up to the image in your head. And this movie, the effects absolutely 100% live up to the image that I would have in my head.
I thought that the mix of practical and CGI was really deft, and I thought that they had a light hand with the CGI. Where needed, they didn't overdo it, and that's really important.
Yes, absolutely, and it didn't overpower the scene, and it didn't take away from the performances. That's the danger you have whenever you're doing visual effects, is that it's literally just going to be explosion here, fire here, that sort of deal. But it didn't take away from the performances, and that's important. I thought it added, especially for Eva Habermann's character.
She was so much fun, wasn't she?
Yeah,
I really enjoyed her.
yeah. I enjoyed her because my only experience with her is she was the original Zev in the show LEXX. Remember when we were doing the what was it, Ready Set Geek?
Yeah,
and I brought up LEXX?
I immediately knew.
She was in that show.
That's funny.
For like the first season. She was Zev, and then I don't know what happened
Psycho's full circle
to get her off the show, but for some reason she was not on the show anymore, and they had someone else play her for the rest of the series. But yeah, I was like, oh, she's in this.
Oh, Ready Set Geek, you mean when I'm a two-time champion?
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Fucker.
I don't know what's better, how proud John is or how bitter Brian is.
Chris, come on, man. Bring me back. I know you want to.
Bring me
I
back.
forgot you won a second time.
Yeah.
I know you won the first time.
John has not forgotten, coincidentally.
I have both certificates.
I think they need to make a belt.
Ooh, John would love that.
Spinner belt.
Just come out just like with your belt. Be like, yeah, the chip. Yeah, but do we want to get into a little bit of the acting?
So the acting, that's a difficult thing.
It is
to
difficult.
even
It is.
go into because all the dialogue has been replaced, but
Except for George Hardy.
except for George. And I wonder about that. Like in the German release of this film, is he going to just be like subtitled?
Or?
No, because I imagine he probably will be subtitled, but I mean, his audio is dubbed too. Like you can tell that it was dubbed for consistency's sake.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it makes sense too. Yeah, because they have to redo the whole audioscape. So
Yeah, and I saw him in some of those pictures when they were doing the sound, the behind the scenes photos. So he was there.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So his audio is dubbed too, but I wondered the same thing. I'm like, how are you going to handle this one?
Well, I wondered too because
The lone American.
is everyone literally speaking German around him? Like, how would he know when to say his
Lane,
lines?
they're European. They speak English, unlike us who don't speak any languages outside of our own.
Well, no, I'm saying when he's on set, if they did the film in German, like how would he know what to listen for?
We probably beats because a lot of his scenes, like
Yeah.
he simply responds after only one other person talks.
Yeah, I guess.
So it was probably like,
Yeah.
"Du das weh, das
I don't know,
Ihnen."
man. I think you're being dismissive, but I have a
You
question.
just disrespected our whole German audience. Right there.
Oh, yeah. I'm used to him being him, and I was like, oh,
I'm
yeah,
used
that's...
to him being.
I
I was
said-
like, that's normal. It's just Sunday.
I just said, "Does that hurt?" Actually.
Oh, did
Das
you?
weh. Yeah.
Yeah, John took German in high school.
Oh, I was a Spanish person.
Was
That's
ist der
French.
Kleiderschrank? Ein Kleiderschrank ist ein Schrank für die Kleider.
All he
Links
knows
und
is how to
rechts
talk
und
about his
geradeaus.
clothes closets.
Yeah.
That's all he knows. That's it. Seriously, he says the
Nein.
closer.
Es ist verboten.
He says the closer in the clothes closet. He says that all the time.
My favorite section was the sports section because they took our words. So it was
Same
like
in French.
Dare basketball, dare baseball. I'm like, I can get into this.
Yeah,
I don't even have to study
Yeah,
ball.
for French, it's le basketball.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
You need to brush off your Duolingo and get into German again, my friend.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for performance-wise, I mean, obviously, as we said, this movie is supposed to be over the top. Mm-hmm. It's not subtle, but I think
It's a lot of fun.
It's fun. It is a very fun movie. The characters in this are very over the top, very zany. I would use the word zany.
Oh yeah, I like that.
know?
That's
So
a good way of putting
especially
it.
the antique shop person.
Oh,
the
that was-
sister.
Tippy,
They
the
were
antique
a
shop
hoot.
person.
The two of them were a hoot.
Well, something I wondered about this movie. They say that it's her sister, but it's also
a cousin.
the cousin.
Yeah, that didn't. maybe-
I don't know if that was
No,
a
it was
trans-
aunt/cousin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not how that works.
Well, maybe it's some kind of colloquialism that we're not familiar with.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they gave that honorary aunt title, which is weird because she's a cousin. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
if she's older, I mean, like I've made that mistake sometimes. Like I've called my one of my older cousins. I've called him like uncle by accident.
Uncle Jim.
Uncle Bob.
Yeah, but the acting is very over the top. It's very zany, but it fits with the vibe the film is trying to give off. I think that's the big key here. If they were trying to do kind of a very dark and somber, it wouldn't fit at all. But this is supposed to be over the top. It's supposed to be goofy.
Well, it's with a wink, you know. I mean,
Absolutely.
we've talked about Troll 2, and the reason why it's such a good bad movie is because they did take it deadly seriously and you know, failed. But this is supposed to be funny, and it is funny. It's supposed to be fan service. There's a ton of Easter eggs in it. You know, like it's clear they know who the audience is for this.
Absolutely. I'd love to know who was in the troll costume, though. I really would love to, because that's a hell of a thing to do.
An actor who sweat his balls off every day. You know, that was like in Star Wars how they would forget Kenny Baker and
Did they actually forget him?
constantly.
Oh my god!
And they would break for lunch and he'd be like, "Hello, boom, 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 let me out."
Oh my god, that's horrible.
I do gotta say, the one person I thought was one of the craziest in this film was Arabello. He was like the host,
the talk show host.
The talk show host.
He was funny.
He was funny, but he looks like he would, like, literally before they shot, they're like, okay, do 2 bumps of coke and then come out. Because he's like, Mika Michael waits. Yeah.
That was funny.
And I'm like, damn, boy.
That was amazing.
But I think the version of this we got to didn't have all of the completed music.
Okay.
And so, like, there's a hilarious scene that's not going to be as hilarious for you, dear viewers, of him dancing on stage. And you could tell that there's supposed to be, like, the show music.
Oh, is there? I just kind of, like, took it. I was like, okay, this is happening.
It was extra funny for us because there's no music. He's just dancing.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of a screener copy. You know, like, it's enough of the film to really get a sense, but maybe those final flourishes aren't there, you know?
Like, there was also the same thing happen with the nightclub scene in this.
Excuse me, it's a discotheque.
Discotheque.
We're in Europe.
Discotheque.
Discotheque.
Nice.
They're nice, yes. But the discotheque scene, you literally have people dancing and laughing, but there's no music. And I'm just like, they got a beat
the dancing,
in their head.
The dancing with no music is actually kind of amazing.
It's one of those, you know, German performance art things.
Yeah. It's sprockets.
Sprockets.
But yeah, he obviously went for it all, and you should check out the Facebook page, dear listeners, for Under Control, because they kind of break down the voice artists, and most people did like 3 or 4 characters, and this guy has other characters in it, and just, you know, he explains how he just went balls to the wall. With
That's
Great
awesome.
Amaro. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh man, yeah. But I'm just gonna say, like, out of all the characters in this that were zany, he seemed like King Zany.
Yeah.
Like, he just seemed...
Nobody
like
went further than him.
Nobody went further than him.
Yeah.
He looked, as I'm saying, it looks like he did like 2
He has
bumps of
glitter
coke.
in his hair.
Yes.
He did. It was all down his face,
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
John's hot nightmare. John hates glitter.
Yes. The herpes of the craft world.
It seriously is.
Yeah.
It seriously is the herpes of the craft world.
That's when we opened, like, you know, in late November, open up the Christmas decorations, and it's spread onto every decoration you have.
Oh, the fastest way to piss John off is to give him a card with glitter on it.
Yeah, you open, somebody gave me a Christmas card. It has
Birthday
glitter all
next
over
year. I'm going to put a glitter bomb inside of the car.
Oh my
It's just
God!
gonna explode.
That'll bring the end to the cinema.
I really don't think he'd ever talk to you again, Brian.
You're just going to punch me in the face.
John
like,
is a
"You
fun,
fucking
jokey
asshole."
guy, but he does not fuck around with glitter. He does not think it's funny.
What about confetti? Are you okay with confetti?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Confetti's
Okay.
easier.
Confetti
It's
doesn't
clean.
No, it doesn't.
I mean,
Glitter
even
does.
if it does, you can just brush it off real quick.
Yeah. At my work, we had day camp people in, and they glittered all over the one place. Oh no! I'm being vague for reasons. I don't want to identify my work, but
Yeah, no,
but yes, they glittered all over the place, and I'm like, you sons of bitches.
It's not cute.
Yeah.
But anyway, glittery late night host
Yes,
was our point.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got on a glitter tangent.
Yeah. What about George in this? Do you want to talk a little bit about his performance in this?
He had so much fun, you could tell.
Yes.
When I had first heard about this, before I was working for Narrative Films, I assumed that George was going to be the hero of the film.
And that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
'cause
Me too.
The
He's
trailer
the big
did tell me
name.
that.
Yeah. And he has, like, he's kind of a secondary role in this movie. You know, it's kind of like, I equate it to Goldblum in Jurassic World 2, you know, in terms of screen time.
Or
you know?
yes, or a Yoda type character.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, he does kind of come off as a Yoda type character. I'm not giving away the whole thing. I'm just saying his experience is important.
Yeah. Well, yeah, his experience is important, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, it's once again, as we mentioned, it's more fan service. He doesn't he's not vital to the plot of the movie, but it's great to see him there, and for us, being fans of George, it's good to see him getting work.
Yes.
Of course.
Check out for our interview with him come January. So it seems miles away, but we will have that.
It does.
Yeah, and George is having a good time, but when does George not? Like, he's just such a happy.
It was just funny
He is.
because like he was bringing out all of the old classics.
Yeah.
Goblins
Piss on
do exist. You
hospitality.
can't piss on hospitality.
That's literally his first line.
His first line is, "You can't piss on hospitality."
So funny.
And I'm like, this is great because the audience doesn't know what the hell you just said.
but we do.
We do.
Hey, wait, guys, in Troll 2, was he supposed to be a dentist? Because he mentions, I'm a dentist, and I'm like, is that George Hardy or is that Michael Waits? Like, who's saying that line?
No, I think
George Hardy and Michael Waits are the same person.
Well, maybe they made it so Michael Waits is a dentist just as like a joke, since that's
Right.
what George Hardy really is.
Yeah. Because like they even kind of break the fourth wall, and he mentions Troll 2 at some point.
He
I
does.
won't say when, but it's just
yeah.
once again, tongue in cheek, winking at the
Definitely
audience.
knowing the audience, winking at them, etc.
You know what this movie kind of reminds me of? Like, because there's a lot of like not gross out humor, but like
that one scene, I was ready to vomit.
But there is
Oh, me too.
I know which one you're
I
talking
couldn't
about.
look right at it. I was like, this is disgusting.
I think we can tell that scene. I think we can say that scene.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I, all right, let me ask you, as a representative of narrative films, can I say that scene?
Let me check with the lawyers.
Just
Okay.
broad strokes.
Broad
Let's
strokes.
not get into it too much.
All right, okay, yeah.
Okay, so if you've seen the trailer, and I think this is well common knowledge, Eva Habermann's character, Vanessa Meyer, gets possessed by the troll. Okay, so if you saw the trailer, you know that already. I'm not giving away anything new. Okay, she gets possessed by the troll, and then she does some zany, crazy things. One of them is that she literally eats out of a compost bin for like 30 seconds.
It's bad, y'all. It's
While her
bad.
neighbor, who he calls her fat neighbor, is like screaming, "Why are you eating out of the garbage?"
Yeah,
And
it's like compost.
It's compost, so it's shit.
It's plants.
It's plant. Ugh, it's gross.
It's coffee grounds.
It's also something we used on the Facebook page. It's not a secret for the film.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
like
fair enough.
I didn't give away anything that hasn't already been seen.
Well, you know those troll / goblins love their plants, plant-based.
Yeah, it's
They
true.
did.
They are vegetarians.
It did. It did. But yeah, it was gooey.
Gooey.
lot of goo. Like I'm
Gooey,
sorry.
gooey.
Like I don't get grossed out by blood or gore or anything like that in movies, but if it's someone eating something that shouldn't be eaten,
It's where you
about-
live.
What about the Meaning of Life, Monty Python, with that gigantic fat guy?
You
at
want
the
to know
end?
something? I never saw Monty Python. Meaning of Life.
Oh well, the end part's not going to be for you.
It's not gonna be for you.
Don't make that one of the episodes. Then I don't have
Oh,
to
that's
see it.
amazing.
Episode 152, The Meaning of Life, Monty Python.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I think what was nice about the story is that, it had a lot of fan service, but I thought that the narrative was pretty clean. Like the story was easy to follow. And, I mean, obviously we won't give anything away, but I thought it was interesting. There was like certainly an edge of like a cliffhanger at the very end.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting. And it was one of those things where it could go either way, where it's like, oh, we leave the story. We know that like people are in a pickle, but some movies like end like
It almost
that.
reminded me of Army of Darkness.
Yeah,
That
and
end.
some
I'm
movies
like,
end like that,
okay.
Where it's
Okay,
like open
that's
to
cool.
interpretation of like what happens to the characters, or, maybe it's something that's revisited.
Kind of that classic pitch meeting kind of thing. Is this Army of Darkness meets Your Highness?
Yeah,
Oh, dude,
yeah.
that's kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
always good at the
You're good at
the
that.
pitch meeting. That's always your thing.
I just need to get in with some sleazy executive. So you got a movie for me?
Do you want to mention
Yes,
anything
sir,
that the
I do.
movie needs to maybe work on?
So
Without giving everything away. That's a tough thing.
try to think. Lane, what do you feel here? I'm blanking for a second.
Well, the only thing that I would say that struck me as different, and this could be different for a different audience, but I thought some of the translations, the slang that was used was hilarious and kind of, but it wasn't supposed to be hilarious.
Like what?
like, I don't care if every villager has a stiffy or something like that. Like, they said something like that.
Okay.
You know, I just, like, number one, in olden times, you wouldn't say stiffy, which that's okay. But I just, sometimes, like, the lines, like, they were very, like, to the point or, like, blunt or in slang.
Yeah.
And, like, and don't get me wrong, like, some of the results were absolutely hysterical.
Right.
But, you know, I'm not sure that that's exactly what they were going for.
Right.
And I can totally respect and appreciate that
Sure.
there's some things that are, like, better in their original language. You know, like, I remember in high school, I studied French for 4 years. And it was just interesting because sometimes there was just better ways to say things in French. And I really, if it was, like, I'm trying to translate, like, I just couldn't do it because I was very good at French for a long time. I was actually reading books in French.
Yeah.
To kind of help me out, like books I'd read in English. So I read like 2 Harry Potter books in French, I think, because I was familiar with them. And there was just certain things where I was like, oh, wow, was like that's a way better way of putting that. Or like, oh, man, like English just really is the right phrase for that. So I could see that being like lost in translation, like literally, you know, but that was the only thing like where I thought like some slang was used or people were like super blunt with each other, where just like for me I was just like, is that really how people would talk?
And
like,
that would be something would ask the filmmakers is, you know, what was the process of taking something that was originally in another language and bringing it to English? Were there considerations for the slang? You know, how things translated out. Did you guys find out that, you know, when translating it, it made the tone of the movie a little bit different than what you intended?
Yeah, good point.
You know? And I guess we are going to have an interview.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We will feed you, baby birds.
We're
with
very
them.
excited.
And that might be a question to ask is, you know, the process of taking a film that is, you know, has a foreign language and making it English, what challenges does that present? So I would love to know the answer for that. For me, I love what they did with breaking the fourth wall at times. I love what they did with including the references to Troll 2. I would have loved to have seen more of that.
The only shot that absolutely bugged me in this movie was in the antique shop when the lady looks right at the camera.
Oh, she did look right at the camera. I noticed that.
But she didn't look long enough. It almost looked like a mistake. She shouldn't have looked at it, and they just kept it in.
Yeah, because I've seen the fourth wall before. It was funny. I've rewatched some Dexter episodes. There are a couple times when he looks right at the camera.
Really?
But it works.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because
he's narrating in a way. So
and
he's
too,
talking.
if you've read the books are a lot more like lighthearted and irreverent, you know, than the show. The show's a lot more serious.
Show's pretty dark.
But there's a couple times like where he does look right at the camera, and it's like. It works, but this did, like you said, John. Like it seemed like the actress did it, and they maybe chose it
right
as the take because you know there's nothing wrong with breaking the fourth wall if you're doing it, you know, intentionally. But it did seem a little accidental, which is why it like maybe didn't work.
But I guess for me, like you have a movie that is built to pay homage to these movies from the late 80s and early 90s.
Movie.
Well, they're not even you know, like, but I think it's a specific time period.
Yeah,
I think it is specifically late 80s, early 90s. Those types of movies. I mean, you look at Eva Habermann's, you know, costume, and her costume is, you know, spandex leopard print.
Yeah,
and you know, very fluorescent yellow and pink earrings that are clearly that's a late 80s thing.
Listen, Europe is way ahead of us in terms of fashion, though.
True.
So I wouldn't.
So it might
rule
be coming
out
back.
that
You never know.
It's modern.
But my point is that, you know, while I love what this movie presents, I want more of it. You know, I want to see more of those references. I don't think it needs to take away from the story. I think you pick a couple things in. Like if they included a scene where, you know, popcorn's included, and that's from Troll 2. Like that's one of the things that Troll 2 is known for. You know, they did the dance thing. That was great.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
But then when I talk about breaking the fourth wall, like that opening credit sequence where you do have that one character saying, "Hey, look, George Hardy's in this." Things like that would be nice to put in there, where it does kind of make fun of itself and is self-referential. That's kind of what I mean by that. Because I think it's got a vein that not a lot of movies are able to do. It's able to make fun of itself and have fun. You know, like that's the key there.
Well, it does make me wonder how much more like silly, and I mean that in a good way, this film is from the translations. Like, was it
right
on a silly scale from like 1 to 10? Was the movie at like a 5, and then when it was redubbed, did it become a 7.5?
Yeah,
like,
and that's what Brian was saying.
That's what I'm saying.
He wants to ask the filmmakers about
I would
how
love to
tone
know that.
can change, and like I think that's really interesting. Where when you have different expectations or a different background or different tone of a script. I mean, you can watch 2 totally different movies.
Yeah, and there are clearly some changes made, like when the boyfriend character is in a shirt that has a little heart, like instead of the word love. And, it's a heart. And he goes, "Oh man, but I wore my heart shirt." That was clearly them having some fun in the audio booth. I guarantee that was not the original line.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it's definitely a movie that I think you're gonna like. I think I really believe that. I think
fans will appreciate
it.
And also appreciate, I think, like just the rich visuals, like
yes.
like I said, just like you said, like pops off the screen.
It pops off the screen. It feels like a pulp comic, honestly, to me. It, the visual effects are amazing for an indie film. Like truly, they spend a lot of time on that.
And you teach effects. So
I do.
Mean, like,
so if I'm saying
your opinion,
if I'm saying it's really good, it's really good.
Last night I was wondering that because I was watching it and I was like, I wonder if Brian likes the effects because that's like my litmus test.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, and the thing is blending that with live action is always the toughest thing. But you can tell like they clearly planned for it. Like they had probably practical lights on set to make things look green when it needed to be green with the lightning and all. So
practical
I mean, that
and computer
is
both.
They do. They work well. So
there are times where once again, no spoilers because it's in the trailer.
No spoilers.
Vanessa is possessed by the troll, and there are times where her face will completely like change shape to be like the troll. But there are sometimes that they just put her in red contacts and they have a light on a dimmer switch with a green gel filter on it, and they just push that green onto her face. Like, there are times where you just do it with lighting. There's sometimes you have to do it in the computer. So, it's a little above.
And it truly was well conceived because, I mean, you got to think about that stuff ahead of time. And I think that takes a lot more consideration and talent to be like, okay, this is how we can do this practically instead of just be like, oh, we'll do everything in post. Like, that's real easy. But, like to be able to get those moments on set and know exactly what effects you're using on set, like that really takes a lot of forethought.
I will say that if you're looking for a much more serious and darker film, this isn't the film for you.
Yeah, if you're looking for a straight sequel, it's also
if you're looking for a straight sequel to Troll 2, this isn't that either. This is
as silly as horror gets.
Yes, this is. I would say yes. This is. I would say almost it's a horror comedy. Honestly,
and again, not a bad thing.
It's not bad. It's a different tone. It's a different beast. If you're into that sort of thing, you will love this movie. I guarantee you that. It's got just enough horror to make it not a straight comedy. It's got
it fit into our spooky season episode.
It does. But it definitely has a lot of those visual gags that you might see from comedies. Like there's a lot of times where they speed up the film to make characters move faster.
Yeah,
and like those sorts of like classic, almost. I'm trying to think of the comic who did that all the time.
Oh, Benny Hill.
Benny Hill, yes, it has a lot of those Benny Hill type isms in there. So you'll definitely see that in this.
And now I'll sing as much of the Benny Hill theme as we can get away with legally. Okay,
yeah, that's it. That's it.
Nicely done.
So, John, you said this movie is playing the Alamo Drafthouse?
Yes.
In October?
Yeah, I believe it is. They're going to kill me in October.
Well,
11th.
we'll put the actual like details for it.
Yeah.
And are they coming to Pittsburgh?
We're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, they need to come here.
Yeah. I mean, recently, George was here recently to do a screening of Troll 2. So,
yeah.
And that was a line out the door, so that was pretty badass.
Oh, yeah, that was
Did
great.
you go to that one?
I was in a wedding.
It was literally the day we were both on a wedding. We were so sad.
I thought I was around the same time.
I was supposed to host the damn thing.
No. Really?
Yeah, they asked, and we were literally in a
I remember on
thing.
a conference call, they're like, what if George just came to the wedding? I'm like, that would be pretty tight.
Let's just have it be in.
Let us do the whole thing for the wedding. Yeah. I'm sure the bride will love that. So starting at the Alamo Drafthouse, and it's gonna do the theater circuit here before any kind of digital or release. And when it comes out on Blu-ray, I think Speaking unbiasedly, everybody should buy 20 copies.
Everyone should buy 20 copies.
Yes. You never know when might accidentally run out of Under Controls. So
It's true.
just buy 20 a piece and then buy them for your loved ones too.
So I'm looking at the Alamo Drafthouse website, guys, and it looks like it's going to be at Dallas, Fort Worth.
Okay.
The Alamo there, and I'm seeing Friday, October 11th at 7 p.m., so it's coming up soon.
Sweet, I was right.
Soon, and it is the Dallas Fort Worth Theater. I didn't realize there was more than one Alamo Drafthouse. I'm not cool, guys. I'm not cool.
Come on, man. The Alamo Drafthouse is where it's at.
I'm sorry, y'all.
And to find out more information about Under Control, you can go to undercontrol.com. I believe that's it, right?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And follow our social medias.
Social media.
Yeah, we've been sharing stuff about it. Not because we're biased, but you know.
just
Just
Facebook,
'cause.
Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Carrier pigeon. We're on it all.
Carrier pigeon. Carrier pigeon.
If you want like Under Control shots sent to you by bird, we can do that.
Are you doing that now for them?
Yeah. Let me tell you, that pigeon, every time I send them off, they just fly away and don't come back. I'm working on it.
I think you're just going to send a box with a dead pigeon in it. It's like, here's your pigeon.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll definitely check this movie out. John, where can they find you at on the Twitter?
Well, you can find me at the Unreal J Wolves, or you can also find me at Under Control.
Amazing.
I'll be managing that.
Amazing.
Love it.
Lane?
I don't have any fancy movies, but you can find me on Twitter at LA_Croft.
Yeah, I don't got any fancy movies.
All right.
But you can find me at Brian Kyneton on the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. Do you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away? You want to talk to us about trolls that may be lurking inside of your backyard and possessing you and eating your biodegradable, trash.
As you do.
You can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. Make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and iTunes and catch a new episode next time.
Elaine, can I piss on hospitality?
You cannot piss on hospitality.
Goblins do exist.
Hospitality? Hospitality.
Nailed it.